Welcome back. The Cricket World Cup in the West Indies is now over, and without a doubt the host display was one of the biggest disappointments of the tournament. The inevitable question is now being asked, why, with all the money being pumped into Caribbean cricket the last few years, does the team and the region continue to struggle as a cricketing power? Guy McCree has this report.
A sight that should bring a smile to the faces of cricket lovers throughout the Caribbean. But keeping the young interested in the game of cricket is precisely the problem troubling those charged with bringing about a change in the national team's fortunes. The decline on the pitch, the West Indies have lost 8 of their last 9 Test match series, has been put down by many to the growth of other sports in the region. These basketball players in Barbados are just some of those who've escaped the cricket net.
This is it's a community sport. You know what I mean? Growing up, it's just the basketball court. There's no football field, nothing like that. So everybody from young raised up on the basketball court. So that's why we chose it.
Cricket is still bigger, but I still prefer basketball first because more easily economical for me, you know, and more courts and stuff, more facilities.
I chose basketball because I used to play cricket younger, but I wasn't really good. And plus, my brother, watching my brothers play basketball, and obviously in the community and thing, so I decided to pick up basketball and get satisfaction from it. More satisfaction playing cricket. You get contracts. People over here get contracts in Europe. Like, we had a guy get a contract in Spain the other day. We got a female getting a contract in Switzerland. Yeah, so it's possible you get contracts.
And they're making more money than you can in cricket.
Yeah, and plus the West Indies don't do too good, so I don't really want to cricket no more.
But it's hoped the benefits from hosting the 2007 World Cup can help change those opinions and inspire the young to stay in the game. Over $300 million were spent improving or building world-class venues from scratch, such as the Sir Viv Richards Stadium in Antigua. But you don't have to look too hard around the Caribbean to understand why many people feel that the regional game has been ignored. This is Lucas Cricket Club in Kingston, Jamaica, and a look at the facilities show what the first-class game here is up against. This is the area just around the square, around mid-wicket. We can see lots of stones that would impede a cricketer's performance. And a little wander as well over to the bowler's run-up shows the same problems. Very, very barren, very, very uneven, and that's all going to make things very, very difficult for cricketers to perform in these parts. And if we travel across the Caribbean Sea to Falmouth Cricket Club in Antigua, there are similar problems on show.
When the ball comes, you actually keep it in your pocket. I want to see the tee. So that means you're top pointing down towards the target, which is the bowler, or where the ball is coming from.
Kenny Benjamin is a former West Indies international, now spending his time coaching promising youngsters, but sometimes even his best efforts are thwarted. This coaching session brought to a premature end by some uninvited visitors. Responsibility for running and improving the game here and everywhere in the Caribbean lies with the West Indies Cricket Board. They're under great pressure now to use the income gained from hosting the World Cup to set up a turnaround in the nation's cricketing fortunes. Benjamin admits they have a crucial role to play, but is critical of their efforts.
I think there's a lot of debt owed by the WICB, and when they get some money, they will probably pay off some of their debts. I can't see how this is going to trickle down even to the club level. I don't see how here that we're going to get some of those monies.
But as the fortunes of the West Indies board improve, and we are intent on having that done. I pointed out to you the progress that has been made there. Obviously, the clubs will be beneficiaries of it. The clubs will also be beneficiaries of the World Cup because there's a formula in which they would share the revenue on a 75-25% basis.
And Benjamin also has other concerns about the West Indies Cricket Board.
I believe the WICB spent too much money. The administration, I tell you what, their monthly wages is massive. Almost as big as the players, and that is the area that they need to look at. You need cricketers. You don't need an office full of people who have to pay $1 million a month to sit down.
2 years ago, the board operated with a deficit of $6.6 million. Last year, the board operated, its operating position was a plus of $1.5 million. And that came out of managing. You didn't have any significant increase in revenue. What we did was we managed our affairs differently. We had an entire marketing department which was costing over $5 million, and bringing in just $1.3 or $1.4 million. We got rid of that.
For others with responsibility for improving Caribbean cricket at a regional level, the biggest issue is something else completely different. Brian Davis is cricket administrator at Queen's Park Cricket Club in Trinidad.
Facilities are very important, but unless you get the minds that want to use the facilities, those who are going to want and desire to play the game, and then having the facilities there must improve it, because you have the youngster who's going to trip off to the cricket grounds and he's going to have wonderful facilities.
Currently, there is no development program in the West Indies. The West Indies Cricket Board don't actually have a youth program. All they have is a couple of youth tournaments, on the 15 tournament, on the 19 tournament, and that's about it. And you're right, money to aid development. And we need to be scientific to catch up with the other teams, and that I believe could help us maybe in the next 15, 20 years or so.
I think that's a fair comment. The reality is the West Indies Cricket Board is responsible for cricket. And if these things have not happened, it must take responsibility for it. Now, perhaps there are some good reasons why it hasn't happened, but that's not the issue. Who is responsible? The West Indies Cricket Board. We move from there. Why? You ask why. We haven't had the money.
Wherever you look, it's obvious how much young people still love the game of cricket in these parts, and it's also true that all the sports major administrators are agreed that better youth development programmes are the way forward. The financial benefits from hosting the Cricket World Cup will surely help in this regard, but it does come down to those administrators putting their very fine words into some action to ensure that the legacy of hosting Cricket World Cup 2007 isn't lost on Caribbean cricket for good. Guy McCree, Al Jazeera in Bridgetown, Barbados.
And finally, we read and hear about it most days, sportsmen and women signing new deals that will earn them millions of dollars. But far away from the spotlight, where there's not an athlete in sight, much more lucrative deals are being done by the organisations and businesses that make the big sporting events possible. Wayne Hay travelled to China to meet some of the invisible players in the sports industry.
You won't recognise their faces, you won't know their names, but these are some of the key players in world sport. And this is what they do. They meet, they talk, they do deals. To most of us, sport is all about what we see on television, what actually happens out in the middle, and so it should be, but it has turned into a massive industry all on its own. So we've decided to come here to Beijing to Sport Accord, which is one of the biggest sporting exhibitions and conferences in the world. It's where nations, sporting companies, sporting organisations come to show each other what they are all about. So let's go and have a look. Many of them are here hoping to attract a big event to their corner of the globe.
You can arrive from every city in the world quite easily to Finland, to Helsinki, and just 1 hour drive to Lahti area. And we are the leading sport area of Finland actually at the moment.
Andalusia, Macau, Finland.
It's a good opportunity to talk to competing cities, look at other events and talk to events right owners about what we've got available within Sheffield, Leeds and the Yorkshire region.
Nigeria, Scotland,
Mexico.
Abuja is bidding to host the Commonwealth Games in 2014 and we believe we are qualified to host because we have all the facilities.
Some just come to show off the events they already have. And so is this a bird of a Belgrade native bird?
Yes, traditional bird in Belgrade, in Serbia.
And do they all come with sunglasses?
Yes, yeah, in summer when it's yard.
Your stand looks very important. There's lots of meetings going on, very important. What are they all talking about?
Yes, very nice.
Top secret?
Yes, no problem.
Aside from the nations and sporting bodies, there are all manner of companies that specialise in the details that the average sports fan doesn't have to even think about. What does a Greco do?
We do temporary power for major events, temporary power and temperature control.
My goodness, that's very important.
It is. There's two sort of benefits. One is the broadcasting benefits to make sure that the TV cameras continue to roll.
That's very important.
That is very important.
Wayne, we manufacture relay torches, we manufacture stadium cauldrons, We manufacture other flame effects for ceremonies, mainly for large events like Olympic Games, Doha Asian Games, etc.
So that's your core business. What if I want to have a flame in my backyard? Will you come and design that for me?
We've done 1 or 2 small flames for people, but they need to be, I don't know what sort of salary you're on, Wayne, but
not big.
Yeah, well, you need to have a few bob to get us to come and do something for you.
Between now and August next year, this will be one very busy company. They're artistic advisors for the Beijing Olympic Games opening and closing ceremonies.
Can you give us some secrets?
Of course, there is no secrets, you know. Everything is totally under control, of course. And the things I can say is that the expectation is very big and the project is at the level of the expectation.
Then there is the marketing, the all-important branding. They are all very keen to give away something that has their name on it. Everything from pens to olive oil.
The best in the world?
Yes, of course.
So when you're next watching a sporting event, the chances are these people will have had a hand in making it all possible. By then, they'll be working on their next deal.
More meetings?
Yes, for some, talking sport is a business. To most people, it is a passion. For others, it's just plain tiring. Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
That Wayne Hay, he's so cheeky. Well, that's all we have time for on this edition of Sportsworld. I'm Joanna Gajarowska. You're watching Al Jazeera.